Matthew Hudson Smith stepped into the men's 400-meter final at the European Championships in Birmingham one night after losing his semifinal for the first time all season. Fans questioned if his body was breaking down. Then the gun fired, and what happened over the next 44 seconds became one of the most incredible finals this event has ever seen. Hudson Smith was running from lane 9, right in front of a home crowd that had been chanting his name all week. The gun fired, and he exploded out of the blocks. His opening 100 meters was blistering, well under 11 seconds, and it put him ahead of every other runner in the field immediately. Even athletes who had beaten faster men all season could not get near him off the start. Then came the moment that separates great 400-meter runners from everyone else. Over the next 100 meters, Hudson Smith kept accelerating instead of settling in. He ran the second 100 in under 10 seconds, which is an incredible split for this distance, and something most 400-meter runners never manage even once in a race. By the halfway mark, he was already clear of the entire field, and the gap kept growing with every step down the back straight. Commentators were already calling it one of the fastest opening halves anyone had seen at this event in years. Through 300 meters, he was still pulling away. This is usually the point in a 400-meter race where a sprinter's legs start filling with lactic acid, and the pain becomes almost unbearable. It is also the exact point where he had faded the night before in his semifinal, the same weakness every rival in the field had watched happen just one day earlier. This time was different. Coming down the final straight, France's Mohamed Kounta and the Netherlands Jonas Phijffers began closing hard. The gap that once looked comfortable started shrinking with every stride. The crowd noise grew louder, almost pulling him forward, and for a moment it looked like the same collapse could happen twice. But Hudson Smith held his form. He did not tie up. He drove through the line and crossed in 44.17 seconds. Kounta took silver in 44.40. Phijffers, the man who had beaten him just a day earlier, ran a national record for the Netherlands at 44.41, missing silver by 1/100th of a second. Hudson Smith's winning time also came agonizingly close to the championship record, missing it by just 2/100ths of a second. The scoreboard confirmed what the crowd had already started celebrating. Hudson Smith dropped to his knees, then rose to his feet and pointed straight toward a stand packed with fans chanting his name. That reaction made sense once you understood what happened one night earlier. In the semifinal, Hudson Smith had built a huge lead down the back straight, and the crowd roared as it looked like a routine win. Then, in the final meters, he faded. Jonas Phijffers caught him and beat him to the line. It was the first time all season anyone had beaten him, and his time of 44.78 was only the fourth fastest of the night. Even though he was the clear pre-race favorite, reporters immediately asked the same question. Was Hudson Smith injured? Was his body breaking down at the worst possible moment? For a man chasing history, one bad race suddenly turned into the biggest story of the entire championships. He gave a calm answer. He said it was not his fitness. He said he simply misjudged how much Phijffers had left in the tank, and he went out too conservatively. A tactical mistake, not a physical one. Still, nobody could be totally sure until the gun went off for the final, and Hudson Smith later admitted the loss had planted a seed of doubt even for him. That is why the final meant so much more than one gold medal. This was also his chance to prove the semifinal was a fluke, on the exact track where his whole career started. This victory gave Hudson Smith his 8th European Championships medal overall, tying him with France's Christophe Lemaitre for the most in history for a male athlete. Lemaitre built most of his medal total as a sprinter in the 100 and 200 meters during a different era, which makes Hudson Smith's run in a single event even more remarkable. Because more of his medals are gold, many consider him the greatest European Championships performer the men's 400-meter has ever produced. It also made him the first man ever to win 3 individual European titles in this event in 2018, 2022, and now in Birmingham. That puts him ahead of British legends Roger Black and Martin Rooney on the all-time list for this country. No British 400-meter runner in history has matched what he built across 3 separate decades of racing. None of this came easily. Long before any of this, Hudson Smith finished 8th at the Rio Olympics in 2016 and once thought about leaving the sport altogether to become an electrician, while working a regular job to get by. At that point in his career, almost nobody would have predicted he would one day be called the greatest 400-meter runner Europe has produced. Starting in 2019, his career took an even harder hit. He battled a brutal run of injuries, including a torn Achilles, hamstring problems, and hip issues. Then the pandemic hit, and he was stuck alone in the United States, far from his family in England. He lost sponsors. He fell into serious debt from medical bills he could not afford. He missed the Tokyo Olympics entirely. For a while, walking away from the sport for good felt like the only realistic option. During that period, Hudson Smith has openly shared that he went through the darkest stretch of his life, one that nearly pushed him out of the sport for good. He has spoken about it publicly himself as a way to help others going through similar struggles, and credits his family, his coach, and the people closest to him for helping him hold on. From there, he rebuilt everything piece by piece. A world bronze medal in 2022, a European gold the same year, his second individual title, a world silver in 2023. Then in Paris last year, an Olympic silver medal, missing gold by just 0.04 of a second in one of the closest 400-meter finals ever run. Standing on his home track in Birmingham, all of that history came full circle. Alexander Stadium is the exact place where Hudson Smith trained as a kid with his local club, Birchfield Harriers. Organizers had named a temporary stand after him for these championships, a tribute rarely given to an athlete while they are still competing. That was the stand he ran toward after crossing the line. He did not simply celebrate for the cameras. He reached out and touched the sign bearing his own name, sharing the moment with the fans who had shown up for him. He later said, "This race meant something no other title ever could, because it happened in front of the community that raised him as a runner." He said he could barely hold back tears thinking about his family watching from the crowd. He also confirmed this was his final individual race at a European Championships. He is not retiring from the sport, but he will not run another individual final at this event again. His only remaining race at these championships is the 4x400-meter relay, where he will try to add one more medal to his collection before closing this chapter for good, one final chance to add to a total that already sits at the top of the record books. For a stadium that had a smaller crowd than organizers hoped for, the roar when Hudson Smith crossed that line still shook the building. He later said words could not describe what the moment meant to him, calling it his own version of a hometown dream come true. Matthew Hudson Smith went from working ordinary jobs and nearly walking away from athletics to becoming the most decorated men's performer in European Championships history. He did it in his home city, on his childhood track, one night after everyone doubted whether his body would hold up, and he answered every question with the fastest lap of his career on home soil. From debt and injury to a stand with his own name on it, this is one of the greatest comeback stories British athletics has ever seen. That is not just a gold medal, that is a full circle moment years in the making. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think of this race in the comments below.